It's Shawn Lam here for Streaming Media Producer at NAB 2016. I'm here with Tony and we're talking about the evolution of the Shogun line now. We have the Shogun Flame. What's new with Shogun?
With the Shogun Flame, or the Flame series, and the Inferno, which we've launched here, it's all about HDR. We're super pumped about HDR. Ticks all the boxes, I think, for new technology. End consumers can really get it. They don't have to be explained why they want it. They can just look at the picture and go, oh wow, that looks better, that looks more realistic. We're seeing more content producers produce it, Netflix, Amazon getting right on board, demanding people and already starting to show HDR content. Flat panels are coming through. And the best bit, the juicy bit for me, is that you don't have to buy a new camera. The cameras are already producing log, which is 12, 14, 15 stops of dynamic range. So it's not about going out there and buying new kit, it's just being able to reproduce it now on screens for the first time. And that's what we've done. We've enabled you to see HDR on your monitor, and that's what I'll step through here. So what we're looking at here is we've got a Panasonic Vericam, and it's coming log out, and we're pulling it into SDI into the new Shogun Flame. So this is just a pure, you can see here, the native source video. So this is just straight log. It's got that washed out look that we all know log looks like, coming into the Shogun Flame, and the same signal coming out into the existing Shogun, which is also native log. And the good news, as I said, is that all log is HDR. So in this situation here, the only person happy on the set is the shooter, because he knows he's got all of that information for post. Everyone else that's looking around is going, that looks terrible, what's going on there? And the danger is that even the shooters that are less experienced will look at this and think it looks washed out, and will think that it's a bit over the top, bit hot, and they might start to pull back. Looking at this shot, trying to get that right, they'll pull back their exposure on the camera, but you're missing out on the full capability of the sensor. So instead, the better way is to make sure that you get as much exposure as possible, and then up until now, to get it right, what they'll be using is calibration cards, 18% gray, and for this log, you have to use this IRE. For this log, it's a different figure. It's cinematography mathematics, which is what we want to try to eliminate. We want to make it as simple as possible. So what we've done instead is we've added HDR, and that's onto the Flames and the Infernos, and as we'll talk about, the existing models as well. So all it's a matter of doing is coming in on the monitor settings, and we're going to switch across to Atom HDR. I'll pull it back to SDR to start with. And you can see on the waveform here, you've got this line, this clipping line that moves up the waveform as we go from SDR to HDR. It's telling you the exact amount of dynamic range you've got for this scene and the exact right point that you're getting HDR image, how much HDR is for this, so that basically you can just, what you see on the screen is what you see in front of you. So it's exactly like what HDR is going to be as a final result. So you're no longer having to use calibration cards and all these fancy complicated maths. You just be able to point, focus, expose, shoot, and you're getting HDR. Still recording is totally non-destructive, so you're still recording log on the SSD, and it's completely all about, we're doing here is all about the luminance standard of HDR. So as we know, Rec 709 has got a luminance standard and it's got a color standard. Most people know the color triangle, but there is a brightness standard, a luminance standard as well. And in HDR it's the same. People will hear terms like Rec 2020 and P3. These are all color standards. The standard for HDR and luminance is PQ, or ST2084. What we're looking at here is that PQ luminance standard. That's what we're focusing on here, to make sure that we get exposure smack on. And what we can do, apart from viewing it on screen, is you can, over the HDMI or SDI, you can take it out, the PQ out to a screen. So a HDR screen coming through this year, for example, and you'll be able to see it on a larger screen. And what's really exciting is we also can do PQ in. We've got it set up for a Panasonic here. If I change that, if I scroll through to where we see PQ as an input, now from your NLE, you're able to output PQ as a signal, as a curve, as a HDR luminance curve, take it into the Shogun Flame, Ninja Flame, or the Inferno, and you're able to, this is not set up because this is from Panasonic, but you would be able to see true HDR on the Flame, so you can do your color grading using the Flame as a reference for HDR. So it really makes it easy in two ways. It doesn't mean you have to buy a $30,000, 2000 nit monitor for your HDR grading, but also you're able to preview and not use cinematography mathematics to get exposure right in the field. So that's how we've made HDR super easy. If you're not doing HDR, you take it back out, you may not have a full dynamic range scene. It's nice and not well lit and everything. You can just use the brightness scaler to get the maximum 1500 nit capability of this. So gimbal guys or outdoor adventure guys, anyone that needs that high brightness can use this as a high bright monitor, just in normal Rec 709 mode as well. So it's really versatile. That's what we've announced for the show. Ninja Flame is our HDMI only model, 1295. Shogun Flame adds SDI and HDMI and XLR for $16.95. And then the Shogun Inferno, which is coming in Q3 this year, it's going to add 4K 60p recording, HD 240 frames, and quad SDI inputs on the back for only $19.95.
So it's important when you're setting up the Shogun Flame that you select the right camera as the input, right?
That's correct. You know, each log curve is different, and so we have to map it differently to make sure you can see the final result. It's pretty simple, but all you have to do is go into our monitor page and select your right camera. In this case, it's a Panasonic, but as I can show you, you could do ARRI, you could do JVC, you could do RED, you can use a PQ input, you could do Sony, Canon. But in this case, as I said, we're Panasonic. And you select your right log. V-log is the only option, but Sony, you've got S-Log2, S-Log3, Canon, you've got a C-Log, C-Log2. Make sure you select that so that it knows the right curve there. And then from a color, so that's your luminance, that's your brightness with your log. And then from a color point of view, select the right gamut. And we don't touch color here, we just record what you're bringing out. But it's important to know that so when we're displaying it the right way. So you just select your brand, your log, and your gamut, and you've got a perfectly matched HDR image.
And of course, the recording is in ProRes as well as DNX.
How did I not say that? That's very important, that's right. So it is log and it's ProRes, all the flavors of ProRes, 10-bit, and DNX as well. DNX, you know, all the way up to DNX HR for 4K as well. So yeah, we're well covered, edit-friendly codecs, ready to just, no transcoding, dump straight into your timeline on your editing package.
You can avoid that internal codec, which is usually very lossy and a very low bitrate codec.
Exactly, and we like to think we're almost like a Swiss Army knife for productions. You know, no matter what the camera, no matter what the codec, add ProRes to it all. Add, you know, the best in monitoring you can do, no matter what you're restricted to here, minimal zebra, no false color, no this. You're getting ProRes for every camera, premium monitoring for every camera. So that's HDR, and show you how you can use both HDR and SDR on the new monitors. Outside of that, we really do believe this is the best monitor in the world, period, as a field monitor, and that you get the recording, playback, editing, tagging for free. But the reason we can claim it, other reasons we can claim it, is really you can also calibrate this. We've teamed up with X-Rite, who is pretty much the industry benchmark for calibration, to use the exact same X-Rite i1 Pro that they use for your monitors in post or on your desktop. You can now use that same unit on the Shogun Flame, the Ninja Flame, right down to the blades to calibrate, ongoing calibration of your monitor. So that's one thing. And we're also showcasing a technology partnership we're working with G-Tech on, whereby the same Master Caddy system we've got that lets you just load, you don't have to have proprietary Atomos media. The SSDs are 2.5-inch SSDs from SanDisk and Angelbird and Intel and Samsung. It's affordable, a third of the cost of normal media. You can take those same Master Caddies and load it into the G-Tech system. So you've got RAID systems, you've got desktop dual systems for fast transfer. So data wrangling, apart from being affordable data, now data wrangling is so much easier as well. So the whole system has just gone up a notch, I think, in workflow ease and also the monitor quality that we're talking about.
Now, in addition to the upgrades on the Flame line, you've also are going to be announcing upgrades to the existing Blade line when it comes to HDR support. Tell me about that.
Yeah, sure. From May, so midway next month or thereabouts, we're going to give an update to take 8 models to HDR. So we're going to give the blades, the Ninja Blade, the Samurai Blade, our 495 HD monitor recorders, 5-inch. They're going to get the HDR treatment as well. So that'll upgrade, so you'll be able to preview, just like we showed on the Flame, you'll be able to preview that HDR look on the Flames as well. Now it's important to note, there's still reasons to get this.
Yes.
It's a better monitor, that's the point. This is a 1500 nit, 10-bit panel versus having a 400 nit, 8-bit panel. So as good as the Blades are, and the Shogun and Ninja Assassin for that matter, you are getting a monitor improvement with the Flames. Keeping in mind, you think about dynamic range, it's showing you brightest of brights down to darkest of black. So if we're starting our journey at 1500 nits and sweeping back, you're getting a bigger dynamic range than if we're starting at 400 and going back. So there are still reasons, but it's all a free upgrade from next month for Blade users, for Shogun users, for Ninja Assassin and Shogun Studio.
Thank you very much, Tony. This has been an update from Atomos at NAB 2016. My name is Shawn Lam for Streaming Media Producer.